The air in London crackled with an energy that hadn't been felt in decades. It wasn't the festive buzz of a royal wedding or the somber quiet of a national tragedy. This was something else entirely, a raw, electric tension born from a head-on collision between tradition and modern politics. The monarchy, that ancient, immutable institution, had just gone to war with the elected government, and the battle lines were drawn with a clarity that shocked the nation. It began innocently enough, or so it seemed. Prince William, the heir to the throne, a figure normally associated with carefully worded platitudes and safe, uncontroversial charity work, stood before a crowd of reporters at a veterans event in South London. The backdrop was familiar, a group of former soldiers, faces etched with hardship, men and women who had sacrificed everything for their country. But the words that came from William's mouth were anything but familiar. He spoke of promises broken, of resources diverted, of priorities skewed. He didn't mince words, he didn't hide behind diplomatic niceties. He looked directly into the camera, his gaze unwavering, and delivered a message that resonated with millions. When our government promises support for those who served and then redirects billions to those who just arrived, something has gone deeply, profoundly wrong with our priorities. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, the storm broke. The target of William's thinly veiled criticism was clear. Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his government increasingly under fire for their handling of immigration and the allocation of resources. Starmer, a man known for his meticulous planning and cautious approach, had just been blindsided by a royal uppercut he never saw coming. Downing Street erupted. The carefully constructed image of a competent, steady leader was shattered in an instant. Starmer, reportedly furious, responded with a speed and vehemence that surprised even his closest allies. He accused Prince William of overstepping his bounds, of interfering in politics, of forgetting his place. Britain is a democracy, not a kingdom ruled by inherited privilege, Starmer declared, his voice tight with anger. If he wants to lecture elected officials about priorities, perhaps he should run for office himself and face the voters. The gauntlet had been thrown, the battle was joined, the immediate aftermath was chaotic. Social media exploded with the hashtag William v. Starmer. Pundits scrambled to offer their opinions. Political analysts predicted everything from a minor blip to a full-blown constitutional crisis. But the real drama was unfolding behind closed doors, in the hallowed halls of Buckingham Palace and the frantic offices of Westminster. David Lammy, the shadow foreign secretary, was reportedly overheard lamenting that Starmer had just picked a fight with the most popular royal in Britain, calling it political suicide. Conservative MPs, sensing an opportunity, called emergency meetings to strategize how to capitalize on the Prime Minister's misstep. Labour backbenchers, stunned and uncertain, stared at their phones in disbelief, watching their party's carefully crafted narrative crumble before their eyes. But the worst was yet to come. The palace wasn't about to let Starmer's attack go unanswered. At 2:15 p.m., a statement was released from Buckingham Palace, a statement that constitutional experts described as nothing short of nuclear. It didn't apologize. It didn't back down, it doubled down. The Prince of Wales, the statement declared, spoke from the heart about issues affecting millions of British families. His commitment to veterans and vulnerable citizens has never wavered. Those who serve this nation deserve better than political attacks when their advocate speaks truth. The message was clear. The monarchy was standing its ground, and in doing so, it was painting Starmer as the villain, the man out of touch with the concerns of ordinary Britons. The stage was set for a showdown of epic proportions. The raw numbers were damning. James Morrison, a Falklands veteran, sleeping rough in Manchester, his medals glinting under the streetlights as he begged for change. Sarah Patterson, a Royal Navy medic, patching up soldiers in Afghanistan only to find herself living in her car, denied mental health support. Their stories, and countless others like them, were the human cost of a system seemingly prioritizing asylum seekers in 4-star hotels over those who had served their country. The optics were brutal. While veterans shivered in the cold, asylum seekers were receiving 3 meals a day, spending money, and full medical care, all at taxpayer expense. The Britannia Hotel in Stockport, a monument to faded grandeur, now housed 240 asylum asylum seekers at a cost of nearly £30,000 sterling, 0 pence, a night. The contrast was so stark, so morally repugnant, that even lifelong Labour voters were starting to question everything they thought they knew. A YouGov poll dropped like a bombshell. 68% of Britons agreed with Prince William's statement. Among those over 50, the number jumped to 79%, and among veterans and their families, a staggering 91%. Starmer hadn't just attacked a prince, he'd attacked the very conscience of the nation. Then came the real earthquake. King Charles, who had spent his reign meticulously avoiding anything resembling political controversy, shattered decades of royal protocol. At a routine meeting with the Privy Council, he made a statement that was leaked to the press with almost indecent haste. "When my son speaks about duty, service, and the welfare of those who defended this realm," the king declared, his voice reportedly ringing with steel, "he speaks with my full support. The monarchy exists to serve the people, not the political class." Palace insiders whispered that Charles himself had authorized the leak, determined to make his position crystal clear. Senior advisors were reportedly in a frenzy, debating whether the king had crossed a constitutional red line. But Charles, it seemed, was past caring about such niceties. He believed Starmer had disrespected William, and by extension every veteran in Britain. The layers of the crisis kept peeling back, each one more explosive than the last. It turned out that William's speech wasn't some spontaneous outburst of royal pique, it was a calculated move, months in the making. The prince had been quietly meeting with veterans advocacy groups, touring homeless shelters, listening to the stories of forgotten soldiers. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew it would ignite a firestorm. Even more astonishing, Princess Catherine was reportedly a key architect of the strategy, urging William to be even bolder. "Silence is complicity," she supposedly told him, arguing that their children would inherit a Britain unrecognizable unless someone spoke out. The royal family wasn't just reacting to events, they were actively shaping them. The economic fallout was swift and brutal. The pound plummeted, wiping billions off the FTSE 100. Investment analysts warned of prolonged volatility, downgrading the UK's economic prospects, but the real carnage was happening within the Labour Party itself. One by one, junior ministers began to resign, citing Starmer's attack on Prince William as the reason. Then came the hammer blow. Johnny Mercer, the veterans minister, a decorated combat veteran himself, didn't just resign, he publicly endorsed William's statement, calling Starmer's response disgraceful. His resignation letter went viral, shared hundreds of thousands of times in a matter of hours. Labour MPs privately admitted it was the most damaging defection in party history. Internationally, the reaction was scathing. Australia, Canada, even New Zealand questioned Britain's political stability. The world was watching as a nation once seen as a beacon of strength and stability teetered on the brink of chaos. On social media, the outrage was a tidal wave. "Stand with William" became more than just a hashtag. It was a battle cry. Prince William's original speech became a viral sensation, racking up tens of millions of views. Starmer's approval rating plummeted, a free fall from which there seemed no recovery. Protests erupted across the country, ordinary citizens taking to the streets, demanding change. The signs they carried said it all: veterans before migrants. Telling the truth, inside number 10, the atmosphere was toxic. Ministers avoided Starmer like the plague. Cabinet meetings became exercises in awkward silence, ending abruptly as soon as possible. Whispers of leadership challenges filled the air. WhatsApp groups buzzed with the names of potential successors: Rayner, Reeves, Streeting, even Miliband. The sharks were circling. One Labour MP, speaking anonymously, confessed that he'd never seen anything like it in his 2 decades in Parliament. He described Starmer as devastated, knowing his time was running out. Another insider painted a picture of paranoia, isolation, and desperate attempts to justify the unjustifiable. He was defending democracy, Starmer reportedly kept saying, but nobody was buying. defying it. Then came the bombshell that changed everything. Internal communications leaked to the Times revealed that Starmer had been explicitly warned against attacking Prince William. His own advisors had urged him to stay silent, to let the issue pass. One memo was brutally frank. Any public attack on the Prince of Wales will be seen as attacking veterans. This is unwinnable, do not engage. Starmer had ignored them. He had overruled his entire communications team. He had insisted on making the statement himself. It wasn't bad advice that had led to this disaster. It was Starmer's own arrogance, his own hubris. But the worst was yet to come. Leaked government documents obtained by the Telegraph exposed a timeline that was utterly damned. Starmer knew about Prince William's speech 48 hours in advance. Kensington Palace had followed protocol, notifying the government of the prince's intentions. Starmer had 2 full days to prepare a measured response, or, better yet, to say nothing at all. Instead, he had chosen to launch a premeditated attack on the future king. The implications were staggering. This wasn't a spontaneous reaction. It was a calculated decision to pick a fight with the monarchy. Either Starmer had spectacularly misjudged public opinion, or he genuinely believed that attacking the royal family would play well with his base. Both possibilities were politically fatal. Nigel Farage, sensing blood in the water, seized the moment with ruthless precision. While Starmer floundered, Farage appeared calm, statesmanlike, and perfectly aligned with public sentiment. At a Reform UK rally, he declared that Prince William spoke for all of us, and that Starmer's attack was an attack on British values itself. The crowd roared its approval. The polls told the story. Conservative steady, Labour collapsing, Reform UK surging. A 3-way deadlock, a nation fractured. Traditional party loyalties were crumbling. Parliament was set to return on Monday, and the pressure on Starmer was unbearable. Backbenchers were demanding an emergency debate, calling for his resignation. A no-confidence motion loomed. Buckingham Palace had scheduled a crisis meeting between King Charles, Prince William, and senior constitutional advisors. The topics on the agenda: whether to distance the monarchy further from the government or to double down on public advocacy. Sources suggested William wanted to speak again to finish what he had started. Charles was torn between supporting his son and protecting the crown's neutrality. The question was no longer whether Starmer could survive, it was whether the entire Labour government could survive. Britain was watching the Prime Minister's authority crumble in real time. His own party was abandoning him, his voters had turned against him, international allies were questioning his judgment. He had forgotten that the monarchy was more than just ceremony and tradition, it was the heart of British identity. He had dared to attack it.